everybody, how's it going? Nice to see some new and familiar faces here today. I am in the midst of still getting my stuff together to make my latest cosplay, which is going to be Byleth from Fire Emblem. 3 houses. And who do we have here? Carve Nerds, Revival Jan, Zippity, Dradius. Nice to see you here. I'm really excited to be working on a new costume because it's the first one I've made in a long time. For actual cosplay, it's been over a year, a year and a half maybe. I've made my own little original design costumes here and there, but not an actual cosplay that's based off of a reference image in a video game or an anime or whatever. Hey there, Chickadee Days in Silex Studios, Artful Jackalope. Nice to see you guys here. So, in preparation for this, I have started with some armor patterns. I'm actually going to just straight up switch to the overhead view because that's going to be more helpful today. Alright. There we go. So, I've prepared some patterns to get started. And these are all made by me. I had a little, I had a fake version of my own arm that I made in a special effects makeup class back in college, so it looks really creepy, but if you want to see that, it is on my Twitter and what have you. And so yeah, I started with that. I made a tape pattern around the arm, like went ahead and drew on all of the design lines that I would need to create this Byleth armor, and then cut it apart through some trial and error. And today, my task is to make a fully functional armor mock-up with this pattern so that I can test. Oh, the camera's not gonna like this because it's like all white. I'm gonna turn off that autofocus because that is going to be, come on, focus. Here we go. The camera will continually spaz out because it just doesn't know what to focus on. Done. Here we go. I've never used my fake arm to slap anyone because it's made out of stone, and I'm sure it would be like a bludgeon. That would be very dangerous, so no, I have not done that. I have some previous armor pieces here that I used to get started, but I need to make a final version that doesn't have like all of these extra holes and things. And so these paper patterns currently reflect like my, I'm just gonna toss those. Oh, wait, no, I don't need to toss all of them. That's why I was holding on to this so I can make new stuff out of it. Anyway, I'm just gonna get started. I'll talk through what I'm doing as I go. I'm sure that it will be a little bit more self-evident as I keep making progress here. Okay, so how thick is the paper that I'm using? This is regular, like, computer paper that I'm starting with for my pattern. And then the rest of this is very thin craft foam that is going to be made into the mock-up, which I will start right now. First of all, stuff like this. Oh, that's right. I was going to experiment with that. Okay. Let's start then with these 2 larger pieces because this is actually the main thing that I'm trying to kind of figure out. That's fine. So I'm just going to start tracing these pieces. This is my own pattern work just based on using my reference images and designing around that like base arm. You can use your own real arm I imagine most people don't have like a fake version of their own arm that they can just whip out when necessary, but I happen to have one, so that's what I used. But it's going to be easiest if you have a buddy, somebody to help you apply tape and or draw around it. Okay, I'm just going to use regular scissors to cut this out. If I were trying to make an actual foam version, I would probably use a knife so that the cut would be a little bit more precise. But that's not what this is for. This is just a mock-up, so although I'm aiming for like size precision, I'm not going to worry about all of the exact same details that I would if this were my final material. Also, my goal is to make this out of leather, which is something that I like to do with a lot of my costumes. But just a heads up, that's my plan. So this mock-up that I'm working on right now is going to be, it's basically like a sample of what the finished leather piece will look like. And that's why I'm making it out of foam first, just because foam is a lot cheaper than leather. Oh yeah, I was gonna decide whether I needed to make that longer, and that's what the mock-up is all about. What did I miss? Jillian just danced. I'm sorry you're creeped out by someone, but I don't really find that comment to be creepy. I don't think that they need to be blocked from the chat. You're welcome to do whatever you need to do to make sure you feel comfortable. Hi, Retro Gamer Kevin. Nice to see you. Pull this back up. So this is my paper pattern that I have prepared for this. And now I'm just going to trace. So it's definitely possible that I might find a reason to keep going on changing up the shapes and things, but I really want to see it in 3D before I make those final decisions so that I'll know what to expect from things. And I have remade these same pieces several times over. It's part of just the process of like trial and error and putting it on and seeing if it fits and trying to bend it to shape, and then continuing to just make adjustments as you go. Alright, so here is my base piece with the important parts. I'm going to grab one more tool really quickly that I left out in the other room, my hole punch. Okay. Yes, that's right. It's time for tapping. So I'm just going to start by doing one section of this. And this is just cutting through paper. This is a tiny hole punch tool that you usually use on leather or on foam or on paper occasionally when you need to just get that perfectly sized hole. Okay, and now that gives us the information we need on continuing. Anyway. Okay, so here's my 3 little holes to start with. And right now I'm just kind of copying the most useful information from the pattern. I'm only going to do one side of this because I want to trace it while it's on and see if that gives me more sizing information that I want. But anyway, I'll go ahead and cut this out. Oh, I need to transfer these markings actually to the inside before I cut off the information. And that's going to be info on where these pieces overlap and how they come together to meet as a piece of armor. But I'm very excited to be working on this costume because it's the first time I've made an actual cosplay in a really long time. And I feel like I've been out of the community for a while. And I really wanted to get back to my roots of why I started crafting and making costumes and the kind of community and camaraderie that comes out of that. And so some friends of mine are putting together a Fire Emblem group, actually multiple groups of friends of mine are doing Fire Emblem costumes, and so at least 2 of them approached me and was like, "Want to do Fire Emblem with us?" And I said yes. So I'm really excited about making something to be able to hang out with people and go and do conventions again, just as a fun thing. And that's what's on my agenda for this. Well, hey Artemis Ashley, nice to see you, as well as Mythic Phoenix just showed up, as well as Rodeo and Loop de Loo. Nice to see you guys. Okay, here's that. Here's my other pattern piece, which, how does that go? It goes on like this. So I'm actually going to just cut, again, one side. Give my little tap tap. And transfer that to the foam as well. Uzumaki Mallet. Hi Whalefax, nice to see you here. Popping in on your break. That's awesome. Anyway, it's been a while since I've made a costume. I'm sure there will be some error along the way, but oh, that hole is in the wrong spot. This is why I shouldn't have done that yet. I need to create the 3D shape first. These are going to be overlapped like so. And I can go get my heat gun as well from upstairs to really help shape this, but we'll just start with curling it by hand. Anyway, if anybody out there is also making their costumes or cosplays, please do give me a shout. Tell me what you're working on. So these are designed to overlap and be closed with a series of snaps on the inner wrist. I'm going to have 3 snaps and have them evenly spaced. Alright, this is where having another person to help me trace this would really come in handy, but just looking at the top and bottom, it seems to be relatively even on the overlap, so I'm pretty happy with that. This took several different attempts to size up. I think I might try to make this a little bit more angular and more obvious, and try to trim that up on my finished version, which is what the mock-up is for making sure that I like what I'm doing before I'm completely committed to it and can't change anything. Willfax is saying, what's the difference between a costume and a cosplay? My only thought is cosplay is specific to conventions. For me, the difference between costume and cosplay is, am I making something that is from a video game or a anime or a movie, whatever your source material is, versus am I making something that is wholly original, that is not somebody else's character. So for instance, like my Naiad costume where I'm dressed as a random elf girl and it's like my OC, I mean, it's a costume design, it's a fashion design, it's about the look and expressing something that is original rather than, this is Byleth, I'm making Byleth. Byleth is from Fire Emblem. So that is what I mean by I haven't made a cosplay in a really, really long time, is because anything I have been working on was an original design. Okay. So the idea here is to have two overlapping pieces that meet and are aligned. But I actually need to offset this somewhat. So yeah, cosplay is where you're cosplaying something, you're creating a costume that somebody else designed, versus for me, other costumes that are not cosplay are just designed by me. And those are totally different skills, believe it or not. It might just seem like, oh, you can make costumes, you can make anything. But design is very, very different than construction. Okay. Other pieces that I have ready here. Hey! LL Dean sub. Thank you so much for the sub, or the resub. They're back for 21 months in a row. That's awesome. Dradius is asking, what material is it that I'm using to work with right now? This is foam, craft foam. It's, I think, like 3mm foam. And the idea is to use this to create an idea of what the final version will look like when the final version is made out of leather. So this is just a guideline, more or less, a guide piece to figure out whether or not this is going to be useful for me, what adjustments I need to make before I move into my final piece. All right. I need to set my phone on silent. I just announced this project on Twitter, and now I'm like seeing everybody's responses to it that I hadn't seen before. Also, I got whipped cream in my iced latte today because sometimes you just need to treat yourself to that extra bit of sweetness. Alright, so I was looking at these multiple reference images recently and trying to decide what how many different like levels or layers make up this armor piece, and it's definitely open to interpretation. The way other people have done it, and the way that it's drawn changes a lot. Like if you compare different reference images, they are not going to all look the same. A bad hole. No hole. Don't cut that hole. Wrong hole. So this, I now have a guideline for where that's going to overlap and where my next piece is going to sit on top of it. I need to decide whether I need or want all of these pieces to actually be continuous. But before I make that final decision, I can cut the rest of my little foam pieces out and then see how that comes together. So now I'm just reusing another foam scrap from a previous abandoned mock-up. Yeah, it's been so long since I was... Hey! Isaac's Vision subbed with resubbed with Twitch Prime, going on 4 months. Thank you so much. I really appreciate seeing people sticking around and coming back multiple months. It's very encouraging. So hopefully this kind of ongoing cosplay project will keep me dedicated to making more progress. But yay, I went out to the park yesterday because I had mentioned before that I was hoping to do a bonus stream this weekend. And yesterday I just did not have it in me. But I did get to walk around and enjoy the park a little bit before I came back home. So Sometimes you just need to do things for yourself, but I hope that I'll just keep making more progress and reach new levels of comfort and ability to do more stuff regularly. Okay. So this is going to be connected here on the front. It's offset by a little bit. And this is something that I visually need to make sure lines up. And make sure that I really get it in the middle. Oh, Puina, thank you so much. Puina is resubbed, for your second month. Thank you so much, Puina, and thank you for always supporting the stream as a mod. I'm really happy to have you here, and for all of the work that you do in the Discord channel. It's been really great, so thank you so much, Puina. I'm finally on, so this is like finally I've turned over to my second month of streaming regularly on my new schedule. I have experience from the past, but now I'm like rededicated. Oh, what was that? Oh, bits or emotes shared. Yay! Hold on just a second, let me stick this down. Okay, so I just traced the position and have mounted my first piece together. Thank you guys so much. LL Dean used 300 bits, party bits. Thank you so much. Oh, I need to. Thanks, Puina. I forgot to do that today. I was so excited about setting up for new cosplay things that I didn't put the announcement in the Discord. So thanks for taking care of that. Appreciate you. Anyway, we'll get there. Someday I'm gonna finally be like, I'm gonna have my actual streaming process streamlined, and I'll totally know what I'm doing when I sign on. I mean, I do kind of, but I'm always improving around here. Okay, so these pieces will overlap like so, but I think that I am going to trim off some of the bottom layer, because it doesn't need to all be there, and it's just going to make things a lot thicker. This was designed originally as one piece, and then the more I looked at it, I was like, no, that needs to be a separate piece, at least. So where do I want to cut it? Maybe like here? So I'll remove this section and just have it connected along there. But I'm gonna use this to trace a little bit more of a smooth line. So I feel like that's not even a good indication. Where's my blue plastic ruler? I don't know. Too many things go missing here. Okay. Let me check in right here. SBO987 said they never cosplayed before, but if you're going to do one, you would want to do the Enlightened Byleth. Enlightened one Byleth. I think that's the version that Yaya Han is doing right now, and her progress looks amazing. And it also just looks very, very complicated, so I admire you or anyone else, her for sure, that puts that effort in. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and chop this section off. I can always make a new mock-up if I need to. And I know that this isn't the most precise way to do a line, but you know what? I sketched it out. I trust myself, feel pretty good about that. So, boom, there it goes. It's basically this whole outfit with more bolted on top. Yeah, I've seen that. It's pretty intense looking. Okay, so now I have my lines marked on the top of where these two pieces need to overlap. And before I totally commit to gluing this down, I need to keep working on that curve because these two pieces are curved. And if I attach them flat, then there's going to be some bubbling like I have on this piece. I don't do a ton of foam work. I mainly use foam for mock-ups, so if you're watching this and you're wanting to make your final version out of foam, it might be, I might not be the best foam smith to emulate. But this material is very useful in helping me ensure that I've got a good setup on my my materials and my plan and my pattern before I commit to cutting out of that leather, because I would be a lot more sad if I was working with leather right now and getting frustrated with all of the differences and issues, and having to redo anything would be a lot more frustrating if I were working with leather. Okay, so there is about the kind of overlap I want, and I'm actually going to grab some clips to help me out with this. These little plastic clippies are, hey, hype train emote, cool. These little clippies are quilting clips. They're called Wonder Clips. And yeah, I think this line definitely needs to be moved. That's why you make so many mock-ups. It's not about just about like checking like, oh, is this mock-up good enough? Yay, it works. But you want to actually make changes. Your mock-up is your opportunity to make changes. And so it's true that, you know, sometimes you may get a really good mock-up that makes you so happy with the results that you just decide to dive in or like keep that mock-up exactly as is. That happens occasionally, but it doesn't happen that often. And you don't want to waste your opportunities to keep refining things because, you know, I'm looking at the reference, I'm looking at my physical piece here, and this is my opportunity to really say like, okay, this is all right, but let me tweak it. And that's why you go for the cheaper materials first. Silex Studios loves these clips and uses them for everything. Me too. They're extremely useful. Is leather really expensive? Asks Dradius. I would say that it's comparable in price to other armor making supplies such as thermoplastics and resin. And when you're getting into I guess higher end cosplay materials, and like when you're comparing it to other options, I think it's certainly not cheap, but it's not, in my opinion, as scary and expensive as a lot of people make it out to be. And so one thing I hope for is to make leatherwork a little bit more accessible and give other people a little bit more confidence to work with leather in the future. And so I've decided to focus on leather making for these streams just because it's something that I think a lot of cosplayers could benefit from. So yeah, that was a very roundabout way of answering your question. Leather is certainly not cheap, but if you're investing a lot into making a costume anyway, I think that it's comparable to other materials, the price point anyway. Okay, so now I have a more angular top to this mock-up. I'm going to clip just the top up here. We've got that curved shape that I wanted. Oh, I no longer have my halfway point marked. Womp womp. Come on. One of these days I'll do it right. All of my like regular rulers and stuff I've just carried off and moved around so much. And now I have to like dig around for them. That's okay. We're gonna get what we need done. You use foam even to test foam things? Yeah, it's a good idea to just like understand that your first version doesn't have to be the last version. Mock-ups in general are very, very helpful for planning things out and for getting more confident with your materials and the work that you're doing, and just like learning what to expect from things, learning what to expect from the process and how you can use your skills to make things better. Okay. Hi Fabulous Phase, welcome to the stream today. Now I have the markings that I need to determine how this is going to go together. Alright, let's just start gluing. Now if I were actually making foam armor, I would not use hot glue to put things, like if this were supposed to be my final armor piece, I would be using contact cement rather than hot glue because it's a much stronger and better connection, honestly. But this is a mock-up and I like to use less toxic materials whenever possible. So I'm just going to be hot gluing this together for ease of mock-up making, to make things a little bit faster and a little bit less toxic, because contact cement is extremely toxic and I don't like using it indoors at all if I can avoid it. Oh, hi Lady Skull, nice to see you here. Says that, I don't know why I never thought to use foam as a mock-up, stick with masking paper, but it's too flimsy, you don't have that thickness as well. Yeah, the reason I use foam for leather mock-ups is because it has a similar thickness to it. And so when you have that similar thickness, you know like exactly how much material does it take to go around a curve. Because as you can see, your outside piece needs to be longer in order to accommodate that extra distance of curving. That's why my pattern pieces look like this, where this outside piece is longer on the ends, in order to get that same amount of curve going on. Hey there, JR Cobra, resub for 5 months, currently on a 2-month streak. And they said, hello, foam armorer. Hello, welcome to the foam armor stream, where I teach you how to make foam armor so that you can make it out of leather later. But we're just getting our pattern made today so that I can hopefully put this on and then feel good about getting some progress done. I did do some paper mock-ups first so that I wasn't going in totally blind. Although you can just start drawing on the foam if you're feeling, I don't know, extra confident, I guess. Oh, and I have a little silicone glue mat now. I ordered that new fancy hot glue gun. I'm not using it, the precision tip hot glue gun, and it came with a little like clear silicone pad that you use to set up your hot glue gun over it so that all of the little drippies will just stick to the silicone. Anyway, I'm really pleased with that. Zippity Zoot says, one day I'm gonna make leather armor for the war and think back and remember that Heidi taught me. Well, I hope it doesn't come to that, but as Carve Nerd said, who knew this craft stream would prepare us for our Mad Max future? Indeed, if you're sitting at home right now, I would definitely recommend, if you're thinking about how to survive in our dystopian future, I would definitely recommend leather over foam, because foam is not going to offer you very much protection in the real world. Okay, so here is now multiple levels of a cuff rather than one single level. Cool, and I'm still getting a good overlap distance on these lower pieces. Oh, and the upper piece is fine too. That hole was drawn in the wrong spot. I'm just gonna mark it with my fingernail, pushing it in there, make a little X. Cool. And that will be, I don't know, vaguely in line with the others. Let me use my ruler. What are tools? What are straight edges? Okay, I do want it to be about a ½ inch away from the edge, which is about what I got here. How was my day? It's alright. I'm always just, you know, trying to get by. Move on to whatever will entertain or distract me for a bit. You could just eyeball the whole thing? Well, you certainly could, but then I know that if I did that for myself, I wouldn't be pleased with the results. I can't speak to anybody else or what they want to do. Silex Studios said they saw a meme that said you need to befriend the fiber/needle artist first because you'll never make it if you freeze first. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of life skills, but I'm really pleased that I have at least one practical survival skill, which is I can make clothing for myself and others, so that when the nuclear winter hits, I will at least have the ability to stay warm and produce my own clothing, and I don't have to go to the store when the mall no longer exists and Amazon will no longer deliver to your post-apocalyptic hovel where you've like hollowed out one of the robots to live inside to save yourself, and Amazon won't deliver to you. I'll deliver. I'll show you how to make clothes. Okay. This is not a great way to have these connected because of the overlapping here. If you can see, that is not a great connection, so I need to cut off the lower layer. And just understand that not all of that material is coming with me. I don't know, I'm gonna have to revisit that and see how I feel about it as this continues. But we have an overlap, we have a plan for how to approach things. And this is the interior wrist, so it's not necessarily going to be, you know what, it's my mock-up, I'm experimenting, I'm just gonna cut it. Maybe this will be the wrong thing, maybe it'll be the right thing, I don't know, we're gonna find out by trial and error. Heidi will show us how to make armor that is good against an invading robot army. Well, I didn't say all of that. I can't guarantee that leather will hold up against the robot army's laser weapons, but it's better than nothing. Okay, so if those two come together and snap onto the surface of this, and I have removed overlap on this section. I need to go a little bit further with it. I think this is actually on the right task. Heather in Harmony is asking, will I be making her sword as well? I would like to. Oh, Heather in Harmony, thank you for the coffee donation. I saw that you were one of the people who has submitted to my coffee to help me fund this project. Those donations will be going towards anything I need to commission or anything that I need to hire or use another artist's work for, such as potentially a sword kit. I probably won't make her sword from scratch just because that would be not a very efficient use of my time and labor, but I would definitely purchase one of the many kits that are already available online. Like 3D printed kits that I can get one of those and then build my own sword from it, kind of thing. So yes, I would really love to be able to do the sword too. It's a lower priority than just doing the costume itself, but if I can, I will definitely get a sword as well. Okay, that's actually really nice because it like creates its own kind of sizing where there's two fit together. And even though there's like a slash there now, it shouldn't be visible in the final piece because there's still another layer underneath, like that. Hey people, Hipster on the Roof, welcome. Nikolai, welcome. Leather sword, probably not. Trimma is asking, doesn't Dangerous Ladies have 3D print files? I'm not sure about the sword specifically. They do have a Byleth kit, which I've already eyed up. And I'll probably end up getting that kit, yeah, I'll most likely end up using the Dangerous Ladies kit for like the emblem up here, as well as the dagger. Those kinds of items are pre-made in a kit, and I'll be focusing more on the clothing and just making the clothes as nice as I can. Oh, thank you, Heather in Harmony. She says that she adores my creations, but also Fire Emblem Three Houses has been your full-on obsession. Her full-on obsession. She's so excited to see the entire process. I hope that I can meet your expectations, but I'm going to be putting a lot of effort into this because I want to make something really nice to kind of spur myself on and get back to cosplaying. So this fits really nicely. It's actually really comfortable. The overlap is a good distance. The size is a good it's a good size. And I need to work on figuring out exactly where and what to attach to this front piece. This is the kind of initial piece I made to cover the hand, and now I'm gonna figure out the best way to do this together. Now I figured that I would use some like unseen fabric and have them slightly overlapping and create like a hinge so that there's movement here rather than having this whole piece like stuck on permanently. Rainfish had their question answered by Dradius asking what is the material, and yes, Dradius is correct. I'm using 3mm foam just to get started on this mock-up and putting things together. So now I'll go back to using my clips to keep that overlap distance and the general shape. Now we need to make this a little bit smaller overall to really fit. And I think it was also just too large on my hand. And I'm going to keep making my changes to this paper pattern rather than just relying on the foam. So that I don't forget that I have made changes. Because the paper pattern is still my like master key to making sure that I do the rest of it correctly. Am I going to be able to lift my wrist with the little guard piece? That's the hope. A lot of the time that these like impractical cosplay designs is you not really take into consideration how armor really works. And so I can't guarantee that it will really be fully functional, but I'm attempting to design it in such a way that will allow me as much movement as possible. So you're watching that process right now. I don't have all the answers already. I'm figuring it out as I go. Synkless says that me monologuing my thought process is interesting because I've never watched a cosplay creation stream before. Well, thanks. I hope so, and I'm not just rambling nonsensically. Heather and Harvey says Fire Emblem outfits do not obey any laws of physics. That's what I've noticed. It can be a little bit frustrating, but there are certainly ways to make it more functional. So what I'm talking about, oh, I bet strips of elastic would be good for this. Let me grab some elastic. Okay, I just got some random elastic, but this is one of my potential solutions. We'll find out if it works. There's a potential solution for making this have as much movement as possible. So, rather than gluing these two together in a way that it's hard and there's no movement, I'm going to have them physically attached with elastic. Where am I? Oh, my new hot glue gun also came with these like tweezers, which is really nice to be able to squish things together and place things in such a way that it doesn't burn my hands. That's what I was trying to say. I'm always like trailing off my sentences while I'm multitasking, but hopefully my sentences make some sense. Epic thoughtful tweezers, that's what I'm saying. I'm just checking in on all of these chat comments. I just glued my tweezers down. Well, I got them free, so that's what really matters. I hope this is fancy and I hope it works out. But instead of having like one solid, complete connection that won't allow for any movement, the elastic pieces will just help everything stay mobile. And I need to be careful about applying this. Here, I'll open that up a little bit. Put my glue globs on there. I want to make sure that these two panels are overlapping, which they are. Oops. And of course I got some on my finger, but it's not too hot. All right. So there from the outside, it's positioned correctly. But the inside, this is the elastic moving. You want to see that. Rather than the piece itself. So now it has a flexible connection. You can feel all the little like gluey cobwebs inside. I gotta get rid of those. Have I ever had to repair something while out of town? Do you bring spare materials? Yeah, of course. It's a really common thing for cosplayers. Usually I don't have like big costume malfunctions or anything like that, but it's always a good idea to just bring your like a little repair kit in case anything goes awry. Alright, so I don't have like tons of movement, but there's definitely some. Yeah, that works. Without putting too much stress on the piece itself. Now there's some things I want to update here. Like I actually have more wrist room than I expected, and I want to bring this down somewhat. How much space do I want to add to the bottom? I guess like to fill that whole gap. And I might also extend this piece out. The references aren't super clear on like how much, on how everything works and fits together. So 1/4 inch, adding this whole section. Along there, and also taper. So these are just some tiny little notes. It's like almost impossible to read, but I know what it's there, and if I forget, I can check my own stream. Tapering that shit. And I have my working overlaps. That's still good. There's about 1 inch on both the top and the bottom, so that's really consistent. And that's enough spot. Enough room to have all of that stuff moving around. Now up here, I can do like an invisible elastic loop around the finger, which I've done on other costumes before. If that ends up being necessary to like hold this hand plate down against the hand, because I don't want it to be like, you know, having a huge gap depending on how I pose either, because hers doesn't look like that. But having my kind of elastic hinge on the inside for this, I think is going to work really well for getting that movement. Yay, that's pretty exciting. There is a start to my armor progress. Okay, give me just a minute. I will be right back. Okay. Hello, Shy Turtle. Welcome to the chat. Alright, so that took me about an hour to figure out what to change and update over here. But now, I'm still going. I want to transfer my changes onto my paper pattern. starting with this upper shape that I cut down. I like to cut and trim things symmetrically. So like even though I just traced it on both sides, I'm still going to cut while it's folded over to help really transfer the precise lines. So there's that. The other piece I totally removed. Okay, so how much did I take off the bottom? Next question. It helps to be methodical as possible when you are figuring out these changes. And this was the actual piece I cut off the bottom. See, I shouldn't have thrown away all my little foam scraps because I can use those to alter my paper pattern. If you can fold something over and cut both sides at once, usually with patterns or with fabric is the best way that works. But anytime you can do that, you are saving yourself time and effort that you don't have to spend painstakingly making every side match. So this is going to be asymmetrical now at this point. And they will be cut as mirror images in order to accommodate this like section of overlap. On this piece, I decided that I need to add 1/4 of an inch in this direction. Oops, this is too far. And my hole punch guides are incorrect on that one. Measure twice, cut once says Kalonimos. I mean, I try to do that, but then I end up measuring twice, cutting twice, measuring again, doing another mock-up. There's that. Let's fold this over. And here's my little hole punch. My little tap tap punch. And there I just cut 2 holes at once, and I have my old one marked out. Cool. So I still want to create an updated paper pattern that is the most accurate, which this piece is actually fine. I don't need to retrace everything here. So there's one correct. This one needs to be redrawn with that additional section. So let me grab some more paper for that. And I actually really like to work with this folded 2 as a way to make sure that I am creating symmetrical shapes. So now that's like tucked against my fold line. Oh, there's the side that I'm going to add onto. And this side I'm going to measure or just trace it accurately. Here's the correct position for that cut hole. And that's all I need from this piece right now. This one's mostly accurate, not quite. Okay. Just still talking out loud to myself. Here's this. I'm just gonna move this along. Marking that distance of 1/4 inch away from my original lines. Oh, hi there, Luluina. Luluina. It's a lot of Lus. I'm glad you can make it to the stream. I am still always trying to get my scheduling more regular and my confidence up, but having people to come and hang out with me and show any interest at all what I'm working on definitely helps a lot. So thanks for being here. Okay. So now, in order to get a more accurate shape, without putting a lot of stress on the paper, I'm just going to cut it out with this X-Acto knife. Love this remix. Some good stuff. I'm like afraid that I'm not cutting it accurately because I didn't go through both layers at once in every spot. There we are. I've got some decent cuts from there. Okay, I might just use the scissors. I don't know if I trust that. There's like a tiny bit of extra over there. Yeah, this is a lot of the just like usually unseen trial and error that goes into getting patterns ready before you can even start making the cosplay, at least for me. Obviously everyone doesn't work this way, but when you're trying to end up with a end product, dang it, my friend always calls me during my streams. It's always like the same person calling me. I'll have to talk to her later. I love you, but I'm busy. Holy Mitten says that I think all creatives talk to themselves. I do all the time when writing. I think you're correct. You know, sometimes when you say it out loud, it helps you understand it better as well. What is that called? Like the rubber ducky theory, or where you have to explain what you're doing to a rubber ducky. The rubber ducky just being like a stand-in for another person. I forget where that originated from, but I think like a tech company or something. Hi there, Lady Nickel 2. And Dark Wolf Hero just showing up. Nice to see you guys. I will go ahead and mark my second hole position by punching through both layers. Here we go. I have two symmetrical holes. And how does this line up? It lines up like that. Now I'm just going to trace the shape onto this one. I'm also busy doing photography work. That's what I've been up to over the weekend. I got to hang out at my friend's photo shoot where she did a beautiful Victorian gown, and I was just there assisting, helping her and her photographer with posing and just kind of helping watch the details of the dress and make sure everything stayed in place during the shoot, which is always really helpful to have a couple extra people on hand for that kind of thing. So that was my weekend. Yes, in programming, Lulu Luina has the answer for me. In programming, you explain your code to a rubber ducky. Use a rubber duck or something similar that you can sit on your desk. If you get stumped on an issue, you explain your process and problem to the rubber duck, and the solution tends to come to you. Thank you for that much more succinct and informational explanation. But yes, I think that a lot of the time the process of talking through your own work will lead you to solutions that were in there somewhere but needed to kind of be reconsidered a lot of the time out loud to really reach a conclusion. Okay, so now I'm referring to my 3D mock-up version to see what extra changes I need to make here. I want to create more of a line that tapers off because that's how it looks in this image. Like it's a part of the piece below it rather than having blunt edges. How's my cat doing? Oh, he's fine. He's sleeping. He like never comes down for streams anymore. I guess he's just like used to me doing this and he's like, okay, I don't need to be a part of it. I don't know. That's just my theory. Okay. So once again, I'm going to trace the outline of this piece and then make changes. Okay, there's the basic outline, and I decided that I want this to continue down rather than being a blunt edge here, to swoop outward. And there's a very loose drawing of what that can perhaps look like. This is what it will be situated on top of. Lining up the positions underneath. Interesting. Alright, well, let's see what happens here. If this piece continues out below in such a way, and this piece continues down like this, then this is actually the shape that I'm looking for. Sometimes you just gotta get crazy with it. Just make some shapes. Just start drawing something, cut it out, see if it works. You know, it's like, yes, there's method to it. Yes, there is some educational guessing. Like, I did not just blindly, not totally blindly anyway, I didn't just blindly draw this thing. This is an educated guess on how this shape might help. Let's give this a shot. Aries has been really moody lately. He like is constantly begging for food and then just like trying to bite me if I don't want to give it to him, and it's annoying. So I don't know what's gotten into him aside from the fact that he's just ridiculously spoiled. But yes, my cat has been annoying me lately. It's all fine though. He needs to be pampered and spoiled, you know? He's being naughty. Yeah, a little bit. I wish he would chill out. I think he was more chill when he was not, when it wasn't just the two of us. And now it's like, first of all, he's gotten so much friendly with anybody else who comes over to the house. Like, okay, my friend Lee came over on Friday so we can work on these costumes together. And he often will hide because she has a little kid who comes over with her. And Aries is just like not as fond of children. But recently he's been like running out when he hears them come over. He'll like run out to the kitchen and try to get them to feed him and pet him and stuff. And I think it's because he associates visitors with getting treats, because I tend to offer to let the visitors give him treats. Like, oh, here, you can give this to Aries and he'll be happy. And I've done it so many times now that he just thinks that if someone comes over to our house that they're there to give him treats. And yeah, my landlord came over to like fix a small electrical issue in the house, and Aries once again just like darted over to him and was like, hello person I don't know yet, give me treats. Okay, this is not correct. Or rather, it's not bad, but it needs to... Oh, wait. This is going to have that extra 25. Okay. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut here. I'm going to turn. I mean, this is a very rudimentary pattern alteration procedure. Hi, Nintendo fan forever. King is power hungry. I mean, something. I think he's just regular hungry. I think he just wants food. He gets food. He gets tons of food. He just always feels like he needs more in a different kind. Alright, in order to adjust that shape, I just cut and taped it differently. And now I'm going to trace just this side. But we're going to keep comparing it to the paper mock-up and see what other things might change. So if this is lined up like so, this will now be positioned in such a way okay, yeah, I used this paper to like define my shape earlier. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just kept with my free hand, because I do want more of a curve going on here. You know, I just taped this down. We're changing it. We're always changing it. Roar 303 is heading out. Thank you for hanging out with me for a bit. I hope that you have an opportunity to come back. Hope I'm well, says Nintendo fan forever. I'm doing okay. I'm at least really happy that I'm making a new costume. So that's a good start to continuing on with my life. Okay. So now let's try this one more time, because it's always about making adjustments and figuring out how to change things up. So I'm making that a little bit thicker and a little bit more, well, you'll see. I don't know what word I'm trying to say. A little bit more swoopy, a little bit swoopier. And the other thing I'm gonna do is not give it a blunt edge. It needs to be more like that and taper down into a little tip. Cool. I'm also going to use my curved rulers now. These are most useful for fashion, well, pattern making of any kind. And there's not like a huge one specific way to use these. They are just here to help you make smooth curves wherever you need them. So rather than eyeballing everything, I can just line it up on a position on the ruler where it mostly matches and then end up with a smoother line. So let's try this now. Have I ever done origami? Asks Shy Turtle. I did like basic little kids origami when I was an actual child. Like that was a hobby of mine in elementary school. I wasn't accomplished by any means. I was a child, but I did origami for fun as a kid and I really liked it. I admire the art form, but I don't have any real skill with origami. But like when I was little, I had a couple different origami books and like packs of paper to practice with, and I would make little stars and try to make the more complex stuff and usually mess up. But I have done origami in my own little amateur way. Okay, so that is now shaped like this, and keeping in mind that our new piece underneath will have another 1/4 inch to hang on to, I think that the lines here are working really nicely because there won't be a gap here. I can figure out how to align it with that edge and then stitch it all down. So goodbye to that piece. And then this piece, I can trace my other shape onto it by cutting it. And creating a nice, useful pattern. Anime Wings Forever says they used to try to make the smallest origami paper cranes possible as a kid in elementary school. Yeah, for sure. I miss having like tiny hands so that I could make the most tiny objects and like not even realize how ridiculously scaled they were. Okay. So overlaying my original pattern piece onto a new pattern piece. I can accurately trace this line. Hey, I like that sound. Luluina, thank you so much for subscribing. The tier 1 sub, helping me keep working towards my goal of growing the subscriber base on this channel. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you tuned in today and hopefully get some good inspiration or whatever you guys come here for. What's my house in 3 houses? We were playing through the Black Eagles route first. So I am mostly just watching it play through so that I can keep staying active and work on things while I am enjoying the story. But it's a beautiful game. Lulu says, definitely getting inspiration. One day when I'm not swamped with work, I can start making my own cosplays as well. I hope that you are able to do that and enjoy yourself at cons. All right, there's a very different pattern piece than the one I started with. I'm going to make sure this is a curved piece, actually. This does not need to be a straight line. So that it's not quite so blunt at the front like that. Alright, so this will curve around. Will be a new section. Yeah, the music on this stream is Radio Cutman, and that is linked in the description below. But if you go to radiocutman.com, it will take you to the ongoing YouTube live stream, which is just a 24-hour stream of Radio Cutman music. And this is primarily by DJ Cutman with other various artists that are associated with his label. But this music is ongoing and always fun to listen to. Okay, so my newest version of this is has a longer taper, or a longer section here. And this will taper off there. Maybe I did give this like too much space. Yeah, you know what? This line needs to be connected differently. It's not looking as accurate as before. So it's actually like that. That makes a big difference in the way that it looks. You need to always keep checking back on your references, because this is something I easily do, is just like get focused on my pattern pieces and then not even realize that I've kind of like gone off from the accuracy that I was originally aiming for. Alright, so I will just erase the other side. What would you say was my childhood video game? For sure, Super Mario 64. I know that's not the most popular Mario game even from childhood, but that was like my gateway. I'm gonna trace through this pattern paper itself. My dad got me a Nintendo 64 when I was a kid for Christmas. It was shared by both my sister and myself. And neither of us had ever been into video games, so he presents us this console for Christmas, and we were both kind of just like, what? Why? Which is not to say that we did not enjoy the absolute shit out of it. We just didn't, it was like very new to me. And so Super Mario 64 was like my gateway into like, oh, this is really fun to run around and jump and collect items and meet these objectives, and that was like the first game that really captured my interest when I was a kid. So I was in elementary school, maybe around like 3rd or 4th grade. I don't really remember what year it came out. And then I also was super in love with Ocarina of Time, which was released around the same time, or like in that same era. And those were the ones that really impacted me the most as a kid. So here's a new look at this armor pattern and the way in which these pieces will connect with each other. Oh yeah, this one needs to be trimmed up. That's why I drew lines on it earlier. Nia says, not gonna lie, I got into video games through Ocarina of Time because Link was hot. Hey, that's the same reason that I was playing. I mean, Link was definitely he's probably my biggest ongoing video game crush. I mean, it's not a serious thing, obviously. But that Link, he's such a heartthrob. Even in Breath of the Wild, I'm just like, oh, my Link. The man Link, running through the forest. Okay, so this pattern piece is actually slightly different than the foam underneath it. I continued my foam piece, and I actually really like the shape of it. Hey! Speaking of Ocarina of Time, thank you so much, Sam Jackson, for donating $50 and triggering the Make It Rain alert that nobody has ever actually triggered that before. I came up with some different fun alert messages, and so Make It Rain with that Song of Storms. Thank you so much for that. That is really, really helpful, and that donation will go toward continuing this stream and continuing this particular project and everything associated with that. So thank you. Out of all of the donation alerts that we get to see first, I didn't expect it would be a $50 tier, but I am super grateful. Thank you so much for the support. That's really encouraging. Make it rain. You love to see it. That's right. I'm glad that you guys got to see that. And hopefully we're entertained by that. Yeah, I was looking for various like GIFs and stuff to turn into chat alerts and like stream alerts and things like that. And so as soon as I found it, Sam Jackson is gifting 10 subscriptions. Oh wow, thank you. So a bunch of people just got subs. Wow, thank you, Sam Jackson. Various people are now all receiving their gift subs and gift emotes. Oh, that's so fun. Thank you for the support, not only for me, but also for people who are also enjoying the stream and now have access to emotes, which I don't think our new emotes are, because I just submitted another one of the, wait, blah, 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 back, emotes. Okay, my latte emote is pending, but the cottage and hype emotes are live with more new Aries emotes are coming soon. Thank you so much, Sam Jackson, for sharing the wealth, not only with me, but also with other members of our chat. Thank you, thank you. I hope you like Byleth. Okay, so that I've extended a little bit, and then the line needs to be going the opposite direction. Sam Jackson lover. You're not the Sam Jackson, but you're... Oh, okay, I get it. Now, so your name is not Sam Jackson, you simply love Sam Jackson so much that you use Sam Jackson lover as your handle. That makes sense. Well, thank you, Sam Jackson lover. I also love Sam Jackson. I mean, he's pretty great. Sam Lover is the correct title. Okay. So now this matches the shape of what we already have down here. Well, that was fun. Samception. Thank you so much. I think we're almost done adjusting my armor pattern, which is pretty cool. I know that I have leather to make this out of. I have a stash currently of leather that I haven't used, but I haven't actually gone into my supplies to pull out my actual piece yet, so I'm not ready to start cutting yet, but we're getting really close. Here is a visual representation of our pattern updates and the way these pieces are going to fit together, which once they are in the 3D, once they are 3D, they'll have more shape as they fit together. So this is the general overview. Let me bring back my stream screen. Okay. Who is this Link guy? Oh, you know who Link is. He's the hero of time, obviously, and the hero of my heart in the stream. I've always wanted to make a Link costume or have like a Link cosplayer to be with me when I'm Zelda, but when will I find my Link cosplayer? I don't know. I'll just have to cosplay as my own Link and then be Link and Zelda at the same time, and then just edit myself into the... You're gonna make one, Lulu? Do it. Do it. You have a board dedicated to making a casual Link cosplay? He is pretty much the hero of everything Nintendo fan forever. You're correct. Alright. I can get started on making my next pattern. Before I do that, let me see if there's any more changes I want to make to this. Obviously, I have my design here. Hi, Travelsome. Welcome to the stream. Hey, Lady Skull, you're gonna make Link? Wink back at ya. Please do. Hope I'll see you at a con. One day you'll make a big-ass fur/scale suit and cosplay Sidon. That'll be interesting. Oh, anybody can and should cosplay their faves. I think that that expression of love and that expression of pride of like, I made this, you know, if you make your costumes, all of that is good and wholesome and a reason to cosplay if you don't already. So don't let yourself be held back. Stray Thread said, I believe Link put it best when he said, ... Indeed. I kind of like him best without dialogue. I don't need him to talk. That sounds terrible. But yes, I'm still deep in my Breath of the Wild playthrough again. I'm mostly just running around exploring right now. I was cleaning up some shrine quests last night and getting that progress done, but I'm mostly just dicking around in game. As you do. And his most famous quote, yeah! True, I like having like the dialogue options. Okay. And then of course Zelda is cute. I gotta keep making Zelda costumes. Alright. So now that this section is pretty much done, I've got markings, I've adjusted my top shape, I've got the design over here figured out. So I like saying there's an amazing guy cosplaying the Gerudo outfit Link for Breath of the Wild at PAX South. That sounds great. That's on the list of costumes I wish I could make. I would love to make that. I just have so much stuff. So many things to do, things to make, costumes to make. Okay. Now, do I have a clear reference of the back of her elbow? Not really. There is a two-part strap on the interior of that elbow, so it can create the shape there, and then I need to see what the outside looks like. And I also could start working on the knee armor. That looks a little bit complicated. Let's see, what time is it? It's 4:30, not too bad. Yeah, hey there, Leah Novid. It's been a minute. He says, first Celica, now Byleth. Good to see you working on a Fire Emblem. I agree. I never got to finish my Celica costume. Some years ago, I was working on and streaming a Celica costume progress. You want a latte sip? I mean, I want a latte sip, so okay. And my Celica costume was sadly damaged beyond repair while I was working on it. It was when my house flooded and I lost basically everything that I was currently working on for my in my craft room, and so that was a huge bummer. But I managed to keep going. I just didn't end up continuing that particular costume. But, oh well, you know, things change. You just adjust your plans, and I decided not to keep working on that one. Partly because I was depressed and going through stuff, and I didn't want to have to start over. And then, as time went on, I gradually lost interest, and then eventually decided to do Byleth instead. Which, give me just a moment, I'll be right back. I want to go visit my leather stores and see if I do have the materials, but there would be a lot to dig through right now. I'm not gonna start cutting leather today. So yeah. I'm just studying my reference image now. I went ahead and bought some tights. Did I bring these down here? Oh, I did. These are just some Amazon-ass tights. Lillian Lou tights. I literally searched Byleth tights and these came up. They are not branded as Byleth and they're not made to be like a Fire Emblem style thing. It just works. They are asymmetrical, so they do not have identical legs, and they have some really similar looking patterns. And so I looked at them and they were like 12 bucks and I said, cool, looks good. So just a heads up, that's where I got these. And I think that they're gonna work nicely for what I need. As for the rest of it, I will be making shorts and the top and the cloak, etc. from scratch. The boots will probably just be painted or embellished to have the design on them that they need. And then the armor here, I'm going to do this out of leather, these out of leather, these top sections out of leather. And I'm still looking at the bodice to try to decide exactly how I want to approach it. I think that's going to be sewn leather and fabric pieces together because there is quite a bit of shape on the front of her. You can't see it in this image. On the front of her bodice, it's like halfway armor and halfway just looks like a top. And those two materials are kind of like married together. So I'm going to pattern it all as one and then probably use my heavy duty Juki right behind me to stitch it all together. But I'm really excited about making more progress on this. You're so excited for the cloak, Troublesome? I'm not looking forward to these weird shapes, but gotta make it happen, that's for sure. Thankfully, these art book pictures give a lot more of a clear reference of what and how these layers fit together, like this kind of butt cape coming off of the top here. And so, yeah, I'll probably have I call it a butt cape, a skirt cape, to have that attached to the bodice so it's not tugging down on the shorts. The bodice, if I can have that be like fully structured inside to have like, basically do it like a corset, not in order to make my waist smaller, but in order to have enough structure throughout the top that it'll have like a built-in bra, it'll hold itself together, it'll hold its shape, and then have the leather be like a part of that. You're gonna have to call me teacher, Heidi? I mean, you can. I'm not gonna stop you. I really like Byleth's goth tights and booty short combo. That's literally what sold me on this costume. I knew I was going to cosplay from Fire Emblem because, like I said, two different groups of people were like, or two different friends were like, join my group. And then at that point I was just like, okay, which character do I do? And the more that I looked at everything, I was like, Byleth just speaks to me. I like this design. I like these booty shorts and goth tights. And I like it's convenient to have a main character costume because then you can be in whatever group, like cosplay group. I can go from group to group and be Byleth for a bunch of different friends who are, and like no matter what character anybody else is doing, I sort of fit in with them. I don't know, at least a little bit. So those are some of my reasons why I picked Byleth. I've also just been enjoying the Byleth storyline a lot. More so than the other characters so far, although Edelgard is pretty cool. I don't know, a lot of the characters are pretty cool, but Byleth is the one I'm going to make. So I will most likely get a cosplay kit, as I mentioned, maybe from Dangerous Ladies because they're really great. But that would include things like the dagger and this emblem on the chest. But other than that, I'm going to mostly be making everything here. Cool. There's some really amazing cosplay progress that I'm following from some of my friends. Let's see. Dangerous Ladies is doing a bunch of different Fire Emblem stuff all of the time. Bono Somerset Sews is always making a bunch of costumes either for herself or for clients, as well as Nico Letters. And those are all friends of mine, people I follow on Twitter who are just like constantly spamming the Fire Emblem progress that is really exciting to watch. And one of the big things that inspired me to want to make this. And so I'm really looking forward to just do costumes with friends again. That's what really sold me on Byleth. Like I could make anything off my list of cosplay, which is always really long, but the opportunity to cosplay with other people who are excited about what they're doing and excited to have more people be a part of the group is what really made me say, okay, yes, I'm doing this now. And so, yeah, this is what I've got going on. I'm really happy with my armor progress here, and I am pretty much ready to cut these pieces out of leather. Whenever I get to this point, I like to start putting my pattern pieces in an envelope to save them, so that like after I'm done working on this costume, I will have the Byleth master folder that has all of my paper patterns for the stuff that I made, and then potentially be able to share those with other people. And yeah, Carve Nerds is saying that last month they remember me saying that I wouldn't really be super interested in diving back into cosplay unless I had a group together, and that's correct. It wasn't that obviously I'm always making things, but having the motivation to make a specific thing really comes from the community and the like group camaraderie and friendship for me. Shy Turtle is asking, where do I find my leather? I typically buy my leather from Tandy Leather. I've been hoarding it for a few years now, and it's been a while since I've made a leather project. So I already have a lot of leather just collected and ready to use to start making these things. I'll be using a couple different types of leather in this project, as well as spandex. I have spandex for the shorts. Or if not a spandex, then like a ponte knit, something a little bit thick that is has some body to it. And yeah. Luckily with this being all black and white and with some gray in there, I think I have most of my fabrics, or at least I have some nice fabrics that will suit this project, and so hopefully I don't have to buy a ton of things, although cosplay has a way of just getting more and more expensive without you think you have everything you need, or you think that you're like on your way there, and then it just ends up getting out of hand and getting to be even more expensive as you go. But yeah, my goal for this is to try to finish it by Sakura Con, which is in early April, so I have about 2 months. It's about 2 months exactly. So I have March, February, the rest of February and March. and then it will be time for the con. And so that con is local for me, so I don't have to get a hotel room. I don't have to plan travel or anything like that. I can just drive down when I'm in costume. And hopefully that will help me kind of get back into the community and spending time with people and spending time at the con and making more friends. And so that's what I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to having an opportunity for hanging out with people, getting back into this community that I loved so much for so long, and just kind of doing it on my own terms and with a focus on hanging out with people. Hanging out with friends, making costumes together. And my friend Lee, who is also working on a Fire Emblem costume, I won't tell you what, because that's her right to announce it when she's ready, but we are doing stuff together, so she's already talked a little bit about hers. But she comes over about once a week for us to do stuff, work on things, make art. And so once again, I'll have like a weekly check-in with a friend who's also working on their costume. Soon I'll be unstoppable, says Zippity. I hope so. I'm not stopping. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream for now. I'm going to keep working on my patterns for next time. I don't know if I'll be working on this cosplay every day of the week when I stream, but I'll certainly be working on it often. I'll probably mix it up with some other things as well, but this is going to be the kind of the big project for the next couple months as I get ready for SoccerCon. Alright. Oh, sorry, Montography, you just tuned in and I'm ending. Well, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll see you guys Monday through Thursday. I do daytime streams. And Friday I do an evening stream, so please come back and check in with me or just follow on Twitter for my announcements when I go live. Anyway, I will talk to you all later. Thanks for joining, and see you tomorrow.